Good morning, everybody. My name is Epole Sandrine. I'm an English language teacher from Cameroon, and I'm happy to be here today. I want to first of all say thank you to British Council. Thank you to Sir Harry and Steve for doing all the hard work and getting us here today. So we'll be talking about maintaining stability in teachers' well-being. And for our agenda, oh, give me a second, please. Slide. Oh. Gary, I don't know what's happening, but my slide seems not to be responding anymore. Sorry.
Okay. Going to try starting them again.
All right.
If not, I can always try loading them from my end. And
okay, fine. Thank you. So we'll be talking about maintaining stability in teachers' well-being. As an objective for this webinar, participants will be expected to reflect on the roles of teachers. We are also going to explore the meaning of the well-being of teachers and those issues which pose as a threat to the well-being of a teacher. And we are going to consider how resilience is a means of helping teachers maintain their well-being. For our agenda, on the general introduction, we are going to look at those. What is it that characterizes a teacher? In other words, who is a teacher? The different roles of a teacher, what we mean by teacher well-being, as well as the roadblocks to teacher well-being. We're also going to look at how teachers can become resilient, its effects, as well as the benefits of being resilient. So we are going to begin straight away with how we characterize a teacher. In other words, who is a teacher? Ishgadam et al. 2021 and Sigma 2021 says that a teacher is regarded as a pillar of every society. So what does this mean? A teacher needs to know what to teach, how to teach, and as well as cope with the educational adversities and challenges at the same time. So looking at this definition, it means that teachers really have a great role to play in helping students acquire knowledge, develop in their skills, become more intelligent, and also be able to cope with their immediate environment. So we are going to do a little activity. Please put your views on the chat box. Tell us what you think are the roles of a teacher. What do you think are the roles of a teacher? We are all teachers. What do you think are your role in the educational or the academic milieu? Your views will be appreciated on the chat box. What role do teachers, what role do you play in the academic milieu?
it takes a little while for people to type. So
yes.
Can you put your comments in the chat box, please, for now? Or if you have questions, you can also raise them in the chat box as well.
Okay. Yes, teach and nurture young minds. Yes, a teacher is a motivator. Catherine says they inspire. Yes, Susan says they teach, the guide, they inspire. Abdul says they are guidance and counselors. Okay, Stella also says they give appropriate information, they do research, excellent, good. It's a good thing to know we know the role we play in the academic milieu. This is very interesting. Yes, they help students to harness their innate potentials. Yes, a teacher teaches how to learn. Yes, Abdul says again, in loco parentis. That's an interesting one, Abdul. Yes, Catherine says the mode lives of students. And Galaxy A03 says they're a source of inspiration. Wow, very nice and beautiful comments. You can keep the comments coming. You can keep the comments coming. Thank you so much. So just like most of us already said, and we are all correct in what we have said in terms of the role of a teacher. Yes. Teachers, one, help to produce educational material. We know that as teachers, we are not just there to teach, but we need to have resources to enable us carry out our lessons properly. So we find teachers participating in coming up with the curriculum. They are also involved in lesson planning. They are also involved in lesson materials, which they need to develop depending on their levels and the variety of learners they have. They also need to manage their classes, especially for those who have mixed ability classes. They need to manage these other learners with special needs in their classes. They also have to plan events. For example, in Cameroon, we have the Bilingualism Week coming up in January. So we find that in every institution, teachers are involved in ensuring that this event is a success. They also ensure that the classroom is clean and organized in order for teaching and learning to effectively take place. They also need to adapt and accommodate the needs of their students. Even when it comes to ensuring that all those who participate in ensuring that the academic milieu is comfortable, that is the administration, the three-way pattern of the administration, parents and teachers. Teachers also get involved in this. So when issues like PTA, that's Parent Teachers Association meetings are organized, teachers have to also be involved. They also have to evaluate, of course, if we teach, we must evaluate. And then at the end of the academic year, we have to distribute report cards which prove or show to parents how learners have been evolving in terms of their academics. So when we look at all this, we come to the conclusion that teaching is really challenging, and it comes with a lot of responsibilities. Now, it now questions how teachers are able to manage. It even brings to question what the well-being of teachers are, and if it is properly taken care of. Let's take a few seconds to think about this picture. This picture, it's a reflection of what the well-being of a teacher is. And then we ask, what do we really mean by teacher well-being? So we have a lady who is a teacher. When you look at her facial expression, you can see how tired and stressed she is. And we have a little image of a battery which has run down to 0.0, almost 0.0. In fact, the red flag on it already tells you that she has arrived or reached her exhaustion point. Now, is this what we refer to as the well-being of a teacher? What then is teacher well-being? According to Action and Gaslow 2015, teacher well-being is defined as an individual sense of personal, professional fulfillment, satisfaction, purposefulness, and happiness, constructed in a collaborative process with colleagues and students. So a teacher is set to be of a good state of mind, depending on how fulfilled and satisfied that teacher is in his or her academic milieu. And it has a lot to also do with how well he or she collaborates with colleagues and even the students to whom we impart knowledge. So it means that, unlike what we saw in the picture, teacher well-being doesn't only mean the mental state in which a teacher finds him or herself. So if a teacher is mentally unstable, that doesn't question a teacher's well-being. However, we have other factors such as a teacher's physical well-being, emotional, and why not even one's spiritual health has a role to play in the well-being of a teacher. So for teachers, well-being at work means more than developing survival skills to overcome challenges and hardships at work, or overcoming these challenges which come along with carrying out our activities as teachers. It goes way beyond that. Well-being of a teacher looks like what we have in front of us. There must be some collaboration. There must be some togetherness. We have to share our burdens. So we, unlike the first image where we had just one teacher, we have a group of teachers, both male and female, working together, hand in gloves in order to achieve a set objective. So teachers need to collaborate, work together in order to have that sense of happiness, satisfaction, and joy. And that has a great role to play in the mental stability or the well-being of a teacher. Now, we'll go to our next activity. That's what we imagine. That's what we want teachers to be. That's how we want teachers to feel. That's how we want to feel while carrying out our job as teachers. But then we cannot fully say that that's how we feel at the end of the day. So together, we are going to try to identify those roadblocks, those things which stand as that stands as roadblocks to achieving this sense of being, this well-being while carrying out our profession. Once again, I'll invite you to come to the chat box and share your view. What are the roadblocks? What is it that prevents us as teachers from feeling fulfilled, from feeling satisfied, from feeling happy while carrying out our jobs? Yes. Someone says toxic work environment. Ikuma says toxic work environment. Stella says failure to access appropriate resources. Correct. Correct. Yes. Melanie says pressure from hierarchy, lack of financial benefits. Natalie says well-being. Catherine says family challenges. Yeah. Yes. Grace says lack of good performance. Exactly. Manisit says overburdening teachers. Yes, Karama says workload. Okulu says inability to understand the demands which comes with our job. That's an interesting one. Adekola says poor administration, overpopulation. Catherine says lack of appropriate. Okay, Adebisi says people's response. I'll really appreciate it if you throw more light on that. Abdul says lack of provision of conducive environment for teaching and learning. That's nice, that's correct. Lack of cooperation. Okay, Joy says bosses that do not make work easy. Yes, okay. Lack of understanding from colleagues. Karama says lack of understanding from colleagues. That's nice, very interesting, and fair enough. Those are how can I put it? Those are valid, exactly. Those are valid points which all of us have raised. It means that we are attesting to the fact that we sure want to feel fulfilled. However, we have issues with feeling that way. So let's look at those roadblocks together. I must applaud everyone for sharing such intelligent points. One of them, job satisfaction. Yes, when we do not feel satisfied in our job, when we do not feel happy, then it sure affects our well-being. Because every job we do, job satisfaction is a priority. We should be happy with what we do. And when we are happy with what we do, it has an effect on our well-being. Motivation could be in terms of what people see to us. It could also be financial motivation. It could also be awards. Now, when we do not receive all or any of these, it also serves as a red flag in achieving well-being. And like someone rightly said, when authority do not make work easy for us, yes, it sure is disturbing. I must say, I'm sure everybody has his or her own experience in terms of the challenges which come when there's a conflict with authority and teachers. Also, classroom environment, it could be in terms of how students behave, it could be in terms of the physical environment of the classroom, it could even be in terms of how teaching and learning takes place. Yes, all that too can affect teaching, a teacher's well-being. Also, it depends also on the type of support. It could, yes, like we rightly said, physical, financial, material support too. So when maybe the administration or yes, the school does not provide the necessary support to be able to carry out teaching and learning, it can be stressful too. When we do not get the feedback we need from those who participate in the academic milieu, it also has a role to play in how well we fare in our teaching environment. Also, staff, our colleagues, when there is no collaboration with our colleagues, it really affects our well-being. And when the workload is too much, a teacher has to teach the whole school, exhaustion, it also has a role to play in our well-being. And last but not the least, the teaching itself. We're not happy if we do not prepare, if students do not make teaching any easier, if we don't make it any easier for ourselves, we will definitely not feel satisfied when it comes. So these and so many, like you mentioned, and which I didn't mention, which we all know, are the red flags to teacher well-being. So if these are the red flags, how does that affect us? If we are not mentally stable, if we are not motivated, be it financially, if we do not have the right resources, if we are not collaborative, if the work environment is not the best, it would definitely affect our mental health. Then we'll begin to suffer from things like depression, anxiety, stress, burnout, which has to do with the emotional well-being, emotional exhaustion, and we will not feel any form of accomplishment while carrying out this job. Remember, our role as teachers are enormous, and we need to execute this role in order that every aspect of the educational or academic milieu could benefit from what we can provide. So if our well-being is not being taken care of, if we break down like the first picture of that lady, then we are paralyzing the educational or the academic triangle. So what is it that we need to do to maintain or sustain our well-being? Resilience is the key. Resilience is the key to helping teachers maintain and work on their well-being. What do we mean by resilience? It's the ability to stand against the natural phenomenon which serve as a form of stress to us and which serves as a setback to our teaching. Teaching is a tough profession, but it is also very important, such that if we handle it with so much care, we are going to have a lot of positive outcomes. Now, how can we be resilient despite the roadblocks of teacher well-being? What can we do to develop our resilience as teachers? Now, it's time for us to talk about resilience on the chat box. I'll be happy if we share our comments on what we think can help us improve on our resilience or work on our resilience, irrespective of the challenges which comes with the teaching profession. How can teachers be resilient? What can we do to be resilient? Yes. Someone says we can be resilient if we have a firm mindset towards getting our goals achieved. That's right. If you have a set goal, focus on it. Exactly. Lucy says Oh, sorry, I missed Lucy. Natalie says resilience is continuing irrespective of the challenges. You're very correct. Abdul says we should be joyful. Obadiah says self-motivation. Yes, because like we said, one of the red flags is we don't get motivation and we feel that, okay, because we are not motivated, we have nothing to do with the profession. But if we look for reasons to be motivated, I think that will work. Thank you very much, Obadiah, for that nice comment. Yes. Stella says we should be creative to overcome our challenges. Yes, interacting with fellow teachers on our challenges or being in support groups. Yes. When we feel in terms of we should try to work on our weak points. Yes, another person says we should face challenges like the other said. Desire for the work. Desire for the work. Yes. If you throw more light on that, we'll really appreciate it. Network in COPs. What do we mean by COPs? Please, if you can tell us what COPs mean, we'll really be happy. To be resolute and determined. Yes. Doyen says to be resolute and determined. Namisi Timothy says we should build our immune system. Yes. Gary, communities of practice. Thank you, Gary. That was a nice one. Olias is turning our environment. Yes.
Yeah, that's what COP is, yes.
COP means community of practice. Yes,
Yeah.
I got it now. I got it. Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Community of practice. So developing our community of practice. All right. Thank you very much. Christina says have total control. All right. Yes. Nice comments. Please keep them coming. Yes, let's do things that make us happy. Always feel proud of our chosen profession. I like that. Yes. We should take our teaching, our passion and focus on the outcome before our income. Pauline Coffee, that's a nice one. Joy says we should look at the bigger picture. Melanie says we should invest in our growth and professional development. Yes. We need to look for ways to invest in order for us to exactly commitment of teaching. Mohammed says commitment of teaching. Thank you so much. Keep the comments going. Gary, could you help me out in reading the comments?
Can, yeah. So what?
Hello, Gary, are you there?
I am, yes.
Okay.
So what do you want me to do? You want me to read out comments?
Yes, yes.
People are talking about having a commitment, investing in growth and professional development.
Thank you.
Talking about passion. Several people, well, a couple of people have mentioned the idea of passion. Should have a self-objective. So again, passion's coming up a lot. So
yes.
People having a passion for the job. So
all right, thank you all so much. So let's see if all of us are on the same page. Please give me 1 minute. My slide is okay. So one of the tips to overcoming the roadblocks or red marks of teacher well-being is to know ourselves. We need to know the kind of persons we are to enable us know how to overcome these challenges. Let's know what is it that is a red flag for us. And then we know what is it that we need to do to fight back. We need to also understand our emotions. What works for A may not work for B, or what works for C may work for A. So when we understand the kind of persons we are, We understand that we are the kind of persons we don't need to overwork in order for us to be productive. We are the type of person whom we need to push ourselves so hard in order to achieve a goal. It helps us to be mentally stable and mentally prepared. And then when it comes to the physical work, it doesn't come as a shocker to us. Also, we should learn to empower others, use our experience to empower others. It could be our students, it could be our colleagues. In the process of empowering others, we are identifying the type of persons we are. And in effect, we are empowering our own selves. So when we tell empowering stories to others, it also helps us to be resilient. We should try to build a community of learning, a community of collaboration. Be that person whom wherever you are, people are sure that something good is definitely going to come out from it. Another thing, which is, to me, it's the most important, is to take care of yourself. For you to be resilient, you need to build yourself. You need to build yourself mentally, you need to build yourself physically, you need to build yourself psychologically, do a lot of exercise, eat balanced diet, foods, okay? That's part of taking care of yourself. Doing all that will help us to be resilient. Let's focus on the bright side. Like most of us said, let's be positive. If you're positive, if you dwell on the good instead of the bad, it's going to help us a great deal. So knowing ourselves, understanding our emotions are some of the tips. Now, how do we benefit from being resilient? What is it that comes in for us if we are being resilient? Resilient produces job satisfaction. Like I earlier said, job satisfaction should be number one, should be top priority. You should be happy with what we do. It has a great role to play in feeling happy, in feeling fulfilled, and in feeling purposeful in our job. Once you're not satisfied or happy with what you do, it'll be difficult for us to be resilient. We should also be responsive when it comes to we'll also be responsive when it comes to carrying out different activities. When a teacher is mentally stable, when a teacher is physically and psychologically stable, irrespective of what challenges that comes with a profession, he or she will respond to it in a very positive way, and it's going to be very helpful. Remember that because of the challenges which comes and the different activities which we need to carry out as teachers, it makes the teaching role, even though it's important, it also makes it very, very cumbersome. So bottom line, we are teachers. So we need to look for a way to sail through, irrespective of the multiple roles we have to play. So when we are resilient, we'll be able to respond to every activity or every role we are required to carry out in our profession. And of course, we'll become more effective. You'll be that teacher who is present all through, and only in very exceptional cases will we expect or see that you're absent. That's because you have built on your resilience. Self-efficacy. You'll be able to be that person who is a newbie every day you walk into the class. No one will be able to know what you are going to unpack or unravel until when you begin to release all what you have in you. That's because of how much you have built in you while you want to face or carry out your profession. And while you do that, of course, you'll be proud of yourself, that sense of pride. When you're a resilient teacher, you'll always be proud of whatever you achieve. And then the relationship which you have with your colleagues, the relationship which you have with others, is one which is which will always be commendable. Like I earlier said, be that teacher who plays a positive role or a positive impact on everyone who is around him. Be that one whom everyone wants that he or she should be part of a community because of the positive vibe which you can bring as a teacher. That will be thanks to your resilience. Of course, because of all these, we'll become more competent as teachers, we'll be empathetic both to our learners and even to other teachers and even to parents. And when we're empathetic, meaning we feel what they feel, we understand where they come from, then we'll be able to handle their problems and our problems as well. And then we'll become more intelligent if we build on our resilience. Now, this activity is going to take us a little while. I want us to try something. Think of a time where you were engaged in a fun activity with a teacher or with a colleague. And think also of one thing which you are grateful for as a teacher every day of your work life. So one fun or engaging activity you had with colleagues and one thing you're grateful for as a teacher. So Gary, you help read out comments for us.
Yeah, I can
Think
help.
of one moment where you and your colleagues got engaged in a fun activity, and also think of one thing which we are all grateful for as teachers every day of your work life.
So Natalie has mentioned team building exercises.
Yes.
And discussions over a great meal. Next person, Mayin, has mentioned sports activities.
Yes.
Time to share ideas.
Like to put light on it.
Yeah, so people going on an excursion to a nearby town. The support of other workers, yes, teamwork. Yeah, being sure that what has been explained is well understood. Not quite sure what that means, but maybe you could elaborate on that, the person who put that. Ha! We listened to old school music and I danced. Whenever I'm able to dish out my lesson plan accordingly, I presume that means that when you're able to do a successful lesson.
I think that's what makes them look back and are grateful for. Yes, thank you.
A lesson you've enjoyed doing, I guess, and yes, you get good feedback, positive experiences in the classroom. So they're coming thick and fast now, so I can't necessarily keep up with them all. So calling a colleague for help. So discussing difficult issues with other teachers who understand the context. So they organize, somebody's talking about, Catherine Samuel talking about organizing a language day.
Keep the comments coming.
Are you able to read them now? Yeah.
No, Gary, I appreciate if you keep reading.
Okay. Being part of a collaborative team. Being commended by your supervisor who came to inspect a lesson. Yeah. Seeking positive feedback from students. What else have we got? Again, working in collaboration. Yeah, so devising activities, fun activities that where the students kind of enjoy it and they laugh, they show their appreciation by laughing. So an end of year staff party. There's a bilingualism week coming up. You mentioned that.
Yes, I did.
Okay, that sounds like a nice idea. Yeah. Yeah, again, excitement when you get positive feedback from the students actually enjoying what you do. Singing with students, holiday camp.
Thank you all for your amazing contributions and your nice and beautiful comments. I would like us to go back home with this image in mind. Remember, teachers need to collaborate. Teachers need to work together. Teachers need to always be together. We need to share our materials together. And when we do that, we create a team spirit, and it has a lot to do with helping us to becoming more resilient. Thank you. And we are open for questions.
Yeah, so if people, I will now allow people to put their hands up and speak. So you can also put questions in the chat. I'm on to the chat as well. So there we go. So we've got Ugun Jimmy. All right. So do you want to I'll ask you to unmute yourself. Would you like to? Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm so happy for my I really enjoyed the class, but my question is, when you are talking about resilience, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Just, I get a lot of background noise.
Yeah. But you talked about resilience, right?
Yes, I did.
I have a question. A resilience is the ability to stand against the natural pressure. So now is what in a case you are having issue with your authorities.
Yeah, we can't really get your question. Do you want to type it in the chat? Can you? I'm not sure what you're saying exactly.
Well, Inka, it'll be better if you write it in the chat so that we can get the question, because your network seems to be unstable. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Shall we try NA? See if...
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, NA.
Sorry, I'm in a bit of a noisy place, and it's nice to meet you. Thank you for your time. The question I just want to ask is, how about resilience for teacher trainers and consultants? Because I would say I'm working with a team of people that have the bad work habits, like they don't want to come to school early, they don't do lesson planning, they verbally insult me and frustrate my efforts. And yesterday I had one of their husbands call me claiming that the wife did not come home from work early because I asked her to finish up her work while she was there seated. So for me, it's I love my job, I do my job well, but the working environment is not safe and traumatic. And that is why I signed up for this, so maybe it could help me, because I really don't know what to do at this time. So I don't know if you have any tips which I could be helped. I'm actually focusing on my job and praying that the term ends quickly, too quickly, so that I can rest. So I really need you guys' help and input on this.
Okay, Anna, if I understand you perfectly, you're doing your job so well, but your colleagues aren't making it any easy for you. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right.
Because before I came, there was no supervision. They don't do lesson plans. They don't do lesson notes. They don't even teach the children. They don't do anything related to the curriculum as it should be. So you have them saying after their examination, when they have just a week with the children, that they should resume by 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. and close by 1 p.m. So I don't know where that happens, and I'm really kind of, my hands are tied right now. I don't know what to do.
Remember that the meaning of resilience is resilience is put into test only when you're able to face stressful situations, right? Now, only when you're able to overcome these stressful situations will you then be able to testify that you are a resilient teacher. So we came across 6 different points which can help you to be a resilient teacher. Now, you may try to get to know your colleagues, first of all, and find out what is it that is causing them to be that, to be that stubborn. And then try to understand where they are coming from. Then you'll be able to know how to help them. One of the tips of being resilient is to build a community, and you can only build a community if everybody is being collaborative. Now, if nobody is being collaborative, it will put your resilience into test. Have you tried having a talk with them? If yes.
Okay. Let me break it down. For you. These teachers are the issue they have with me is not even personal. It's just my working ethic. So they don't want me to continue next term. I just came like half of this term. They don't want me to continue next term because they do what they want to do before I came. I noticed that they did not have any internet in the school, and the woman wanted them to, work with ICT and do some researches. I demanded that the proprietor should put internet in the school, of which she did. Now, there's internet in the school. The next complaint they give to me is that not enough power. I make sure that the generating plant has power. The next complaint they give to me is they don't have enough time. They are teaching the children, so they cannot give me lesson plans. They cannot write down reports, unless I have to let them off some time, put the children all in one class and go to the ICT to do a job. So if you solve a problem, you get to another. Although, like out of 10 of them, I have 4 people who have changed their character, their working attitude, and their ethics. Now, the rest of them who do not want to do that, they are not open to any training. If you schedule a training after school or during the weekend, they always have, something to complain about. So I said, okay, let's go online and do online training like Zoom or Google Meet, or maybe use Teams to do training. They will still tell you that some of them will say they don't have enough data. I opted to give data to people that are ready. Only one person came up and I gave him data, and we were able to have the training that I was supposed to give to him. So I think basically it's not personal. I'm not taking it personal. It's just a work culture that existed 3 years before I came. Nobody asked them for anything. So me going into the class and supervising what you're doing is not bringing a problem. So I don't know how to handle that. I train them. There's nothing I ask them to do without training them and giving them resources. I go out of my way to use my money to buy fuel in the generation set so that we can have proper time after school, the 1 hour they stay back after school to use it. But that is not being utilized. So I don't have any personal problem with them. The problem is they didn't just want to change to the new curriculum or the leadership. I had a lot of cases of insubordination. When you ask them to bring something, they insult it to your face and they walk out. So I don't know what to do. So
and then are you on the English Connect platform?
Yes, I am.
All right. I think with Gary's permission, you can share your problem and then we'll be able to discuss more on that, because we have a lot of hands and people want to ask so many questions. And
all right, thank you. I understand.
Can't take on. So just share your worry on the WhatsApp forum. I think I'll be able to better.
I'm on Telegram. Now.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
So,
thank you.
Thank you too, Ene.
Yeah, I agree with that idea. So if people don't get their questions on, or their long and complicated questions, yeah, these are exactly the sorts of things we can discuss on the Telegram group.
Telegram platform.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Let me go to the chat. So to be fair, so in terms of, I know there are lots of hands up, but this is Olayinka who was trying to ask the question, who we couldn't hear from. She's talking about in a case of having it where the school authorities send children outside of classrooms during teaching, and that I think impacts on her role. So I guess she's saying the fact that other teachers are sending students out of classrooms during the lessons is impacting on her well-being. I'm guessing that's what she's saying. So is there anything we can do, any suggestions we have for that? I mean, people might want to comment on that in the chat as well. So did you get that?
So it's a very common issue. Personally, I also have that. But remember that at the end of the day, we need to take care of ourselves. And do you think that what the administration is doing has an effect on you as a teacher? Then why not have a conversation with them? Because they too may be doing that ignorantly. If after talking to them a couple of times and you feel that they are not responding or they are not being responsive as much as they can, then you as a teacher need to look for a way, a means to adapt to it. That is part of knowing yourself, understanding your emotions and knowing what you can adapt to and what you cannot adapt to. Okay, please, let's go back to the tips of being resilient and try to find out where we belong, what we can apply in our context. Okay, and those are just some of the tips. You may go and do more research on building our resilience. On the British Council website, there is a lot of material concerning teachers' resilience. I'll encourage all of us to go and read it and try to find out which one of them applies to our context. All the problems we have tried to look at them and exhaust as much as we can. But the reason for this webinar is admitting the fact that we have problems as teachers in carrying out our duties. Yes, we do. We admit that we do, and we cannot change that. But we will not abandon our profession like others do because they are unable to cope with these problems. That is what generally happens to most teachers. So what is it that we can do for us not to get to that lowest point? There is where the tips to resilience, that's where we need to apply resilience in our teaching profession. I don't mind taking another question.
Okay, well, the next person on the screen is Titi Lope. Is that the right pronunciation? So I'll ask you to unmute and see whether you can ask your question, and then I'll go back to the chat. But again, just to reinforce it, if people have questions, I mean, there's some really interesting issues that are being raised here. It's exactly what the Telegram group is for. Please raise those issues on the Telegram group. We're very happy to discuss them. So, Titi Lope, would you like to say?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am very happy for this gathering. And I'm very happy for this lecture. It's a very interesting one. My questions is that sometimes you can be pissed off when you are working so very hard, especially when you want to showcase your good resilience in your school. But for example, in my school, we have a lot of teachers, but most of them just do nonchalant attitude towards their duty. So, but I continue to do my best to tidy up the environment and to comply with the instruction of the school. But most of them normally say I'm just loyal to the head teacher, which is not so, because I try to be resilient in whatever thing I do in order to ensure that things go on smoothly in the school. That's my submission.
Thank you very much, Tilope. That was a very nice contribution you made. And I'm sure most of us are going to imitate your good example. I mean, trying to be focused on what you ought to do, I'm sure it has been very helpful in you being resilient in your profession. Thank you very much. That was a nice contribution. Any other contribution or a question?
There's another one here from Emam. Should we ask Emam to unmute? And
Hello?
so Emmanuel, sorry.
Yes,
Emmanuel,
Emmanuel, I can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Emmanuel.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank you for this great enlightenment. I'm learning more about how to be resilient. But I have a question. You know, in a school where a lot of irregularities have gone, and then we have the issue of the staffs who are now at the top are supposed to do the people that again respect a lot of issues going on, and then there's no good communication due to that, and a lot of things are happening. You bring yourself to work with them, connect them, come everybody is on you. The burdens are on you, and you're unable to help. Is there a way out of this? Should you withdraw or should you continue stressing yourself? That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Gary, I don't know if you heard him well, but I think I lost Emmanuel at the last part. I didn't get his question clearly. Did you?
I didn't, I'm afraid. I'm too busy doing things in the text chat. So can you say it again, Emmanuel? I'll ask you to unmute again. So try and summarize your question succinctly.
Okay, in summary, what I'm saying is, in my school, there's the issue of appointing people to be the head teachers, which are not supposed to, because there are people that are far senior than them, and due to that, we are having issues of disrespect. Everybody now is on his own. We don't work together. I don't know how to resolve that issue because you coming in, the burdens are always on you, everything is on you. How do you resolve that? That's my question.
So your question is you don't know how to resolve the issue of hierarchy in your educational academic milieu.
Yeah.
Does that have an effect?
I have a question.
Yes, we'll come to you, please. Let's finish with Emmanuel. All right. The issue of hierarchy, does it affect your teaching learning process? Or does it affect you as a teacher, your mental well-being or your physical or your psychological well-being?
Okay, the effect here is the people at the top now cannot give order, and so the people below, or the workers, our colleagues now, because of what has happened, they refuse to work, so they are on their own. You can't force them to work. They don't go to the class, and everybody is on his own. So at any time they can decide to introduce whatsoever they will introduce, and that be it. So it's affecting both the student and other colleagues at work.
Okay, so it has an effect on collaboration in the working milieu.
Yes.
Have you tried to talk to other colleagues to find out what is it that could be done to help them?
Actually, I've not done that, considering that I'm also a junior staff.
Remember that we said you should be that teacher whom people look up to. So you do not need to have a position of authority for you to have that community, to build that community where people are able to collaborate. So how about trying to talk to them, and then you set a goal of staying focused on their positive qualities and forget about the negative energy they are able to bring, such that it builds on their resilience. Maybe if you try that and then you come back and give us feedback on the Telegram forum, it will be amazing. What do you think, Emmanuel?
It's okay, it's a good one.
All right, thank you. Yes, I think we'll take the last question. Am I right, Gary? Because we have, I think, 3 minutes the end of the session.
Yeah, let's just try one more person. So Hungbo, Sunday Hungbo, I'll ask you to unmute, and then.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Hugbo.
Yes. One is this. A situation whereby your other colleagues, like my colleagues in the school, they feel threatened, they feel I am too active if I'm trying to be in the process of trying to be a resilient teacher. What can I do? All that have been able to acquire, and they are aware of it. So what do I do in that situation? These are the people that I met on the job. They are quite older than me. I met them on the job, but as a new person on board, they feel threatened. They feel whatever you do, they feel that I am trying to be too active. What can I do in that situation?
Okay, Hogbo. So your own problem is people seeing you as a threat because you are building or you're working on being a resilient teacher. Am I correct?
Very well.
And you think that how they feel about you makes you want to go back on your determination on being a resilient teacher. Am I correct? Hogbo, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I muted him because there was a lot of background noise. So
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Remember that resilience is the goal of resilience is for your own mental and physical stability. And it's a measure used in ensuring that teachers' well-being are being protected. So in working hard towards being a resilient teacher, no one should let you go back on that because it has a great role. It has a great role on how long you're going to stay in your profession and how long you're going to grow in your profession. So while we want to understand and accommodate our colleagues, let's understand also ourselves. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's know where we belong and let's stand for it. So if you're a resilient teacher, I'll encourage you to keep being a resilient teacher because those setbacks, those problems will never, ever cease to exist as long as we are workers. And being resilient, today we are looking at the teaching environment or in the teaching milieu, but every work environment needs workers to be resilient in order for them to survive. So any questions or any comments, I am ready and disposed to answer them on the Telegram platform. Anybody who is not there, you're free to join us. I'm sure Gary is going to share the link on the chat. And thank you all for your nice comments, nice questions, and beautiful contributions.
okay, yes. Thank you very much, Sandrine. A fascinating presentation and lots of interaction with the community. So there are clearly some very unmet needs out there. And, you know, as we've said, this is exactly what the Telegram group is for. We can only cover a topic like this quite briefly in a webinar. Maybe we should have a webinar in the new year that actually delves into these problems in more detail. What do you think, Sandrine? Would you be up for that?
Of course, Gary, no problem. Obviously, we have a lot of issues we need to address.
I have a question, please.
Yeah,
one more question, please.
Yeah, we don't think we've got time. You can put your question on the chat. We have to stop now, I'm afraid.
Okay.
There's always going to be another question.
No, not only, but similar. Especially in our school, there is some very tricky kind of because the issue is very concerning. That's why I ask you. Anyway, the time is up. No problem.
Well, I mean, as I say, let's do two things. First, put your question on the Telegram group. If everybody who hasn't had a question answered puts it on the Telegram group, we can talk about it there. And then we can look at...
I'm not a member, by the way. I'm sorry.
Well, you can join. I put the link on the chat, so please join. please join the group and raise your questions. But we can also organize a follow-up session, and we can maybe have it one where it's more just about questions. So if people put questions up onto the group, and then we can sort of sort those questions, and then we can think about ways of actually sort of looking at some of these issues. So I'm gonna, use my authority and sort of stop the session now, because it's the end of the time. And I'm going to thank Sandrine for her presentation and her great stimulation of the community. So yeah, let's
thank you, Gary, for your assistance today, and we would like to say goodbye to everybody and thank everybody for their participation, and Sandrine for this excellent presentation, and hope to see you soon, everyone.